You're still sticking with Chicago Now?
Yes, I am.
We have
stuck with me for the whole hour.
I know it's been a really good time, and now we have two very important guests.
Yes, from the American Writers Museum, which has a new exhibit and program that explores the influence of religion and spirituality on American history. This thing is called American Prophets, Writers, Religion, and Culture. And we are joined by Carrie Cranston, the president of the museum, and best-selling author R.O. Kwon to talk about this new exhibit. We appreciate you both being here. Thank you so much. For folks, let's start with Carrie, though. For those who are unfamiliar with the American Writers Museum, what is it and where can we find it?
You can find it directly across the street from your studio. We are at 180 North Michigan on the second floor. The museum opened in 2017. It's an interactive and engaging space that celebrates all of American writing from the past to the present and really looks at its influence on our history and culture. And American Prophets is our upcoming special exhibit that'll open in November that looks specifically at the theme of religion and spirituality in American writing and its influence on our culture. And it has a program series that goes along with it, which started back in April, where we brought in best-selling authors in science fiction to talk about religion and science fiction. We had a big program with Peter Sagal of Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, and a group of comedians talking about that. And every month going forward, we're going to have more and more. And tonight, we have a great program and workshop with R.O. Kwon.
R.O. Kwon, we are so happy that you're here. Let's talk about that. You have 2 books with you right now. How many books have you written?
I've written 2 novels, Exhibit and The Incendiaries, and yeah, those are my 2 books.
You're leading a workshop, is it tonight?
Yes.
Okay, what is your workshop? Yes.
So for the workshop, we're going to, it's based around religion and writing and religion, and so it's for people who want to, all kinds of, if they're writing, if they're walking toward religion, if they're walking within a tradition, if they're walking away from religion, any sort of relationship that people might have with religion, we're going to work together and people are going to write.
Let me ask you this, what made you delve into that? Did you have a personal story, a personal experience that led you down this path?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up very Christian. I grew up so Christian that the shorthand I used to give was that I wanted to be a pastor. But that wasn't actually, it wasn't accurate. It's a far too easygoing version of what I wanted. I wanted to be a saint. I wanted to walk through fire. I wanted to see the face of God and live. I wanted to live in a cave as an isolated mystic. I just wanted to devote my life to the Lord. And then right before college, I lost that faith, and it was and is the pivotal loss of my life. And in some ways, it's always what I'm writing about.
Interesting. Have you gravitated back toward any kind of organized religion, or is it still a journey for you?
No, I haven't. I haven't gravitated toward organized religion. I have so much respect for people who do, but it's...
These are works of fiction here.
Yes, they're novels.
Carrie, when I think of like an American religious author, you know, my mind goes to like a Thomas Merton. In the footage there, are there other, is it other fiction writers, or are we talking...
We are looking at the concept of writing a religion, especially in places where people don't always think about it. So as I mentioned, we've done panel discussions on comedy and writing. So people don't think about the movie Groundhog Day as an overly religious or spiritual film, but when it came out, a number of religious groups, especially Buddhists, saw the underpinnings of their faith in that film. They saw the reflection of a life lived over and over, building toward a better life, which, you know, as we think about reincarnation and other belief systems, these are things that are often reflected in film. Harold Ramis, who we famously know as a Chicagoan, wrote that film and was Jewish as he was brought up, but actually was a very big fan of Buddhism and called himself Buddhish, and used to give friends a 3-fold pamphlet on the general tenets of Buddhism. So a lot of writers are influenced by their religion or their belief systems, and a lot of Americans get their understandings of belief from writers. So we call them our American prophets, because very often we might discover something like, if someone my age learned more about Islam from the autobiography of Malcolm X than anything I had ever been exposed to in my life. So it is from other writers that we come to understand the plurality of this world that we live in.
Well, Carrie and R.O., I first think of, you know, what's been going on in our country when it comes to a lot of books that maybe we all read as children. There's been attacks from different religious groups about some of these books that we read, and we didn't see a problem with them as children. What do you make of that, and how does maybe what you're doing this time around in November plays into any of that?
Well, I mean, as an institution, we're obviously an institution that celebrates writing, and we are very adamantly against censorship, and we're very adamantly pro-writer, and we want voices to be heard. So we do feel that we want this exhibit to be something where there are a number of different points of view, a number of different feelings about the topic, and we want people to engage in discussion. And so you can't engage in discussion if you repress or take away people's voice.
I 1,000% agree with that. R.O., your most recent best-selling novel, you brought it along with us. If you could maybe show it to camera, the middle camera here. It's called Exhibit. It was an editor's choice with the New York Times. Can you run us through a little bit about what this book is about and what inspired it?
Sure. There's a woman, photographer at the center of the novel, and she's an artist, and she also experienced a tremendous loss of faith that has affected her life and has informed her work. At the start of her novel, she and her husband, who've been together for a while, realized they'd agreed before they got married that they weren't going to have children. And then he wakes up one day and realizes, oh dear God, I do want children. And so I'm fascinated with my work in general and in this book with what happens when people believe fundamentally different things about the world. What happens when people want fundamentally different things for their lives, when compromise isn't possible? How do we live with and through that kind of division?
Oh my gosh, holding those opposites at the same time. I don't know, Tia, have you ever known a couple where they're clicking on all cylinders, but they're either engaged or recently married, and now there's a big disagreement like that where it's literally a fundamental different worldview?
Yeah, and especially when it comes up to, I think, religion, it's always a sensitive topic with people anyway. So I find it very interesting that you're even doing this, because that is one of those topics that some people kind of shy away from. Are you working on any new writings right now?
I am. I've been working for 2 years on a novel that's centered around an art heist of historically significant Korean antiques and art. So I've been doing a lot of research.
I read The Goldfinch.
Oh yes.
Which, I mean, that wasn't a heist, was it? Or
there was a theft. There was
I would recommend that one too. That is super cool. Carrie, let me ask you this: what additional programs are coming to the American Prophets series? What other exhibitions? You've got RO in-house tonight. Is this going to be kind of a nightly thing or a weekly thing where you have a workshop?
Workshops are going to happen. There will be multiple of them. We're doing them in partnership with Story Studio. So people can find about all our programs on our website, AmericanWritersMuseum.org, and look up the program section. But the coming up, we have a really great program with an author on James Baldwin and the idea of queer religion and his life. And then in the fall, in October, we have a really great program which we'll be doing down at the University of Chicago on horror writing and religion, and how those overlap with the Divinity School at the University of Chicago. So we have a lot of really fun and interesting programs upcoming, and I encourage people to look online and find out more about them all.
Very interesting.
That's fascinating. Horror series down at the Divinity School. Wow.
I want to go back to something you said, R.O. You said 2 years you've been working on that. During that time, because somebody may be watching and maybe they never met an author before. They don't know really what goes into the background.
Right. Bestsellers.
When you say 2 years, what are you doing during that time to really bring that piece of, because I consider it art, that art to life?
Yeah, no, thank you for asking that. So my first novel, The Incendiaries, it took 10 years. Wow. This one took 8 years. I'm really hoping I'm on a downward slope, and then the next one, maybe 6 years is my hope.
Yeah.
But I draft and draft and draft. The Incendiaries went through somewhere between 70 and 100. I have no idea. This one, 50 and 80 drafts. And so I'm trying to work toward, I want to get to a place where I can open the book at random and not want to change anything. And so that seems to take me a while.
I wonder if any author has ever gotten to that. They open it, don't want to change a thing. Carrie, these workshops, are they the target audience here? Is it strictly for aspiring writers or existing writers? What would you say?
Oh no, I think when we're talking about the workshops that we're doing with Story Studio, it can be anyone with a glimmer of an idea that they might want to write, to people who are well known or have been writing for a while but really want to take their writing to the next level. So it's very open-ended, because we're bringing in writers who have the capacity to really work with the audience and try and engage them in the topic. And if they're not familiar with Story Studio, here in Chicago, Chicago Story Studio, I would encourage people to look them up as well. Now, our RO has taught there. A number of great writers teach there. Rebecca Mackay is one of their main writers in residence and one of the creators of it. And it is a wonderful organization for people who have any interest in becoming a writer.
Perfect. RO, anyone that's watching right now, I know, Carrie, you gave the website, but for you, where can people find out about your next works? Where can they go buy your books?
Oh, sure. The book is available at any number of independent bookstores in Chicago, and I'm on Instagram and Blue Sky and my website's ro-kwan.
All right.
Well, I got one more
ahead.
really random question before we, because I think we have till 11:57, so we got a couple seconds. AI, okay, these generative AI. I'm just wondering, how do you each see that changing the landscape here? You know, you were saying one took you 10 years, one took you 8 years. Well, maybe we'll start with RO. How are authors is AI a shortcut? Is it a tool? How do you see it playing into the whole landscape in the coming years?
Well, I think for me, first, a primary consideration is that these language models, they took specifically our books without paying us for them, and they digested them, and it's an ongoing battle that they say that they can't pay us because it would bankrupt them, and then it becomes, well, so you stole what you needed from us.
It's art, like Tia said. It's art.
And you know, I just don't think humans are replaceable. I think that's one of the lessons of literature. It's one of the lessons of love, right? Every single person who I love, who I have lost, they have not been replaceable. We are singular in this world, each one of us. And I think that's part of what's so beautiful about literature and in love. And I don't think AI can replace that.
So a bit of a threat in your mind, then?
It's
I don't want to put words in your mouth.
I don't consider it, I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't consider it a threat to what I do and to my writer friends do. I do consider it very much a threat to the world and its environmental impact and the ways in which it looks as though it's going to be replacing a lot of jobs.
Yep. How about you, Carrie?
I agree with what RO is saying. You know, from our point of view, it's the writers that we celebrate, and I do think that taking their art and digesting it is theft. And I also think that people, the readers of the world, are very interested in knowing that the stories they read are connected to a human being. So if a large language model can generate a piece of fiction,